Welcome, everyone. My name is Shauna Calderwood. I'm the Commercial Partnerships and Travel Trade Manager at Destination Canada. Thank you for joining our webinar today on skiing and snowboarding in Canada. I would like to introduce you to Pete Woods, the Chair of Ski Canada, and Christopher Nicholson, the President and CEO of Canada West Ski Areas. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. It's great to be with you.
We're excited to be here to talk about winter and skiing in Canada, where our winter is deeper, and it's much deeper than the snow. It goes well beyond that into the people and the place. I'd like to share a video with you that's just a bit of an overview.
This winter, we ski in Canada. We ski where our reality is ridiculous and feel a warmth that's truly wild. So let's go, Canada, and see why our winter is deeper.
Wow, that sure gets you excited for winter. Without question, an amazing winter awaits. All of our ski towns are looking forward to showcasing the pride and unique ski and mountain culture, which is born from both the rugged mountains and distinct local welcoming that Canada's made of. And the good news is we're already seeing great snow, especially in the West. The fact it's a La Nina year typically means great season in skiing in Canada. So without question, this is the year to ski Canada and rediscover your backyard. Because one thing hasn't changed, and that's our wide open spaces, where we have more acreage per skier than pretty much anywhere on the planet. So if you're looking to learn, improve, or like so many of us, just reconnect with family and friends, our ski towns across Canada are the perfect place, and excited for your arrival. And for those non-skiers and snowboarders, we have great winter activities and pretty much an endless amount of other things to do, which include Nordic skiing, ice walks, ice skating in the high country, snowshoeing, and the list goes on. One other thing that's been fascinating to see over the last few years is the emphasis on the culinary experiences throughout our ski community. It's really been a priority and so fun to see the evolution of locally sourced cuisines and beers come to life. And we're looking forward to hosting and welcoming skiers this winter. Good news for us is that most of the resorts had an opportunity this summer to work through a lot of the new operational processes that are part of our new reality, and we're really successful in that. So incorporating those into the plans and programs for this coming year. Good news for us is that most people are looking for those wide open spaces, and ski and snowboarding certainly has lots of that, just given most of your time is outside. And if cycling and golf from this summer, in terms of its growth and popularity, is any indication, then I think we're going to see a lot of skiers come out and explore the mountains this year. So what we're expecting to see is a pretty strong regional demand for the coming winter, and probably in most places higher weekend visitation than midweek that we would see if we did have the longer stay international visitation we don't expect to see this year come. So seeing the busier time periods on the weekends. So we're definitely working to encourage folks to ski during the week and try and spread out those volumes throughout the 7 days of the week. So as we plan for opening, pretty much every resort is looking at very similar opening and close dates as if it were a normal operating year, as well as the times throughout the day. That said, it is going to look very different in terms of the experience on the mountain. It's still going to be a wonderful experience, but there's a lot of things that are important that you know before you go, because certainly as we're all experiencing, things change pretty rapidly. Some of the examples of what's happening in the industry right now, some resorts are looking at limiting the number of skiers on mountain, and there's reservation systems that some resorts are putting out there, such as Whistler's. Sun Peaks is looking at limiting the number of lift tickets sold. And so really everything needs to be purchased prior to arrival. So what we're seeing in general is that buy in advance to avoid disappointment, certainly. And then finally, some places are limited in terms of just the amount of parking that they have, and they're using that approach to manage volumes for this coming winter season. We also understand across the industry the importance of cancellation and flexibility is certainly the norm that we're seeing across Canada. And so focusing there within the minimal refundable deposit, so not a lot of money required up front. Also full payment not due until closer to arrival. And then finally, just relaxing cancellation policies in terms of whether or not people can make it. And so far, anybody that is doing this is hearing really, really positive feedback from our guest booking. And with that said, I'd like to hand it over to Christopher, who's going to talk a little bit about what the resorts have been focused on. And I'd say there's been unbelievably great collaboration across the entire industry in terms of, getting alignment on how to approach this coming winter. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Christopher.
Thanks very much, Pete, and hello, everybody. Just as Pete said, across not just the country, but around the planet, the ski areas have been engaged with each other in terms of developing best practices. And one of the potential advantages coming into the winter season is that we have learned from Australia and New Zealand. This has been, of course, in the Southern Hemisphere. They have had a successful winter season. So we've had, as an industry, a lot of our Canadian ski areas have been in conversation and learning from our Australian and New Zealand colleagues, as well in the Alps, as well as across the country and United States. So there's been a tremendous amount of learning. And this goes into, we'll get into chairs and lifts in a second. As well as, of course, all the best practices are regulated in terms of indoor spaces, restaurants, those kinds of things. So the best practices, and the one thing that we would encourage you to share with our guests or your guests, and we're trying to get the word out, is being aware and researching the destination before you get there, because things are different this year. They're different all over the world. And ski areas are no exception to that. So understanding what to expect before you get there is definitely one of our key messages out to guests. And falling under the slogan, know before you go, the industry is put together in conjunction, and it was actually our colleagues in the States at NSAA that developed a document called Ski Well, Be Well. And this helps articulate the actual kinds of things under the Know Before You Go banner. And what the document does, and this is something that would be available at skicanada.org, certainly any of your ski area partners will be able to send this to you. And what it does is provide a high level, North American consistent wide of the different kinds of expectations of guests and what guests can expect at ski areas. From a high level perspective, any kind of outdoor winter activity definitely has a lot of health benefits. There's the physical side, and I think most of us are also appreciative of the mental side and the emotional release that being active outdoors now releases. It's always important, but no more important than it is right now. The second point is that there is a shared responsibility for safety. The ski areas have literally spent millions in terms of actual infrastructure improvements, as well as their protocols. There's been a tremendous amount of effort to really bring those up. As Pete mentioned, the summer has provided a test run for us. We've learned from Southern Hemisphere. The industry is prepared for winter. The ski areas across the country are opening and they're on these same operating procedures. But what's also important is our guests as well, and our communication as ski areas out to our guests and our pass holders have been about their responsibilities in terms of things like face coverings and getting them ready for the fact there's going to be changes up at their ski area. One of the aspects that's obviously an advantage for ski areas is in the wintertime, face coverings are not foreign. They're quite familiar in terms of different kinds of face coverings that people wear. That is a common experience for skiers and snowboarders throughout the country. So that ties in well, and we're fortunate because it ties in well with, of course, key recommendations that come from health authorities. Here's, again, we're stealing from this Ski Well, Be Well document. And again, I encourage you to take a look at it. It's focused very much on pictures, easy to digest. It'll be helpful for your guests and your clients as you communicate with them. Common questions we have are around lift queues, for example, loading the chair. Because of the diversity of ski areas across the country, there will be slight variations in procedures based on the kinds of lifts that they have, the space available at the base of the lift in order to orient and create the mazing. So there'll be slight variances. So again, this is the know before you go message, where each ski area will have their procedures posted on website in advance. And there's a lot of industry signage and marking that is being developed to help guests understand what's expected of them, as well as ski areas that'll have greeters in place to help guide guests. So that will impact things like lift queues. Depending on the kinds of lift, loading procedures, that'll be articulated at the ski area. Riding the chair, again, one of the advantages of being outdoors is also the duration of a lift ride is also less than 15 minutes. And that's one of those key metrics that health authorities are definitely monitor and watch. So in terms of being outdoors, obvious natural ventilation, short duration in terms of lift rides, those will give guests and certainly ski area operators some comfort in terms of what guests are able to do in serving our guests. And then of course, unloading the lift. So those are all procedures. One of the other aspects that is noted within ski areas is snowboards and skis actually do help create some distancing in terms of people in front of people and behind people. But the lift mazing is also being adjusted to help encourage that. And you'll see markings and different things like that to help space people.
Across the entire industry, and I know that every resort is completely focused on making sure they're doing everything they possibly can to get open and to stay open and make sure that guests that do come have an unbelievably great experience. I want to thank you for having us today. And again, the best place to find updates would be on the homepage of pretty much every destination marketing organization website or the individual ski areas, as updates will be posted as things evolve throughout this coming winter. Thanks again for having us.
That was fantastic. I can't wait to hit the slopes. Well, that takes us to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, Pete and Christopher, for your time today and your passion for what you do. And thank you to those of you watching. We really appreciate you taking your time. Until next time, take care.
Enjoy the great snow. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
This is Canada, where the soul of skiing is alive and well. Wide open spaces, untouched powder, room to breathe. Come explore the sea-to-sky peaks of the Coast Range, the pristine wilds of interior BC, the spectacular skyline of the Canadian Rockies, the quaint hamlets of Quebec. Regardless of where your adventure takes you, Canada is far north of your ordinary ski vacation. Winter is deeper here, and the connections you make more profound. It's a place of timelessness, where the mountains speak of the eons of the past, but the present moment seems to last forever. It's a place of discovery, with snow so deep and terrain so big, you'll wonder where it all ends. It's a place of camaraderie, where the locals lead you to their secret stashes and give you first tracks. The Great White North is rich with exotic adventure, and it's all right here in your backyard. Once you experience it, the snow, the terrain, the ski town vibe, you will always carry it in your heart. This is Canada. This is the soul of skiing.